that drink talking. Yeah. 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 No cool.
Right. Hello, welcome to episode 14 of Rhody Rumble. I'm Adam Bernstein. Today we're joined by Preston Murphy. Preston is a former URI basketball player. He was a part of the Rams team, the 99-98 Rams team that made it to the NCAA tournament and won the conference tournament. He shared the court with several great players, including Lamar Odom, and he ended up going professionally overseas, and then he got into coaching. He's coached at the high school and collegiate level and was most recently with Creighton. He's also been assistant coach with the University of Rhode Island. He now runs the DVLP basketball program, which specializes in training young basketball players, young athletes. How are we doing today, Preston?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you. So a question that we normally like to ask to start off all of the guests that come on is, what motivates you? What is your why?
Yeah. I think what motivates me in life is my family. I've been married for 21 years. We have 4 beautiful kids. So that's my why, right? That's why I wake up every day. That's my enjoyment in life. In the world of basketball, I think really developing and helping kids become better, becoming the best version of themselves. That's my why in the sports world of basketball.
Great. So just tell me how you got into playing basketball, and was that always kind of a sport that you attracted towards, or were there other sports that you ended up playing? And then how did you end up choosing the University of Rhode Island? Like, what was that recruitment process like?
Right. So growing up in Saginaw, Michigan, I played football and basketball. Those were the only 2 options as a kid. Back in the time when I grew up, you played basketball and football. It wasn't like the specialists you see in today. Like some kids start playing basketball at an early age, and that's just it, just straight specializing. So as a young guy, I was actually better at football than I was at basketball. Didn't become a really good basketball player until really high school. I know it's a little later than most people, especially nowadays. And but growing up in a city like Saginaw, just playing against area kids, there were a lot of kids that were better than me. But it was a great community thing. So getting into high school started becoming good freshman year, sophomore year, really good junior year. Then I started getting recruited by different schools. And by the time my senior year came, I was fortunate enough to get a scholarship from the University of Rhode Island, which I accepted and obviously attended. At the time, Al Skinner was a head coach. Tim O'Shea and Bill Cohen, they both kind of duly recruited me. And they did a great job. Coach Skinner came in. It was my first official visit. Took the visit, loved it, and committed.
So were there any other offers or anything else you were considering, or did you know you wanted to go to the University of Rhode Island and play basketball?
Yeah, no, there were a bunch of other schools I was considering. A lot of schools in the Midwest, some mid-major schools. The University of Nebraska, University of Minnesota were recruiting me. But after taking my trip to the university, just the chemistry and camaraderie of the players and the relationship that I developed with the coaching staff, it was a no-brainer for me.
Sure. And I saw that you ended up scoring 1,218 points, playing 4 straight postseasons, also making that Elite 8 run. You rank among URI's all-time leaders in several categories, 3-point percentage, assists and steals and stuff like that. But what would you say that experience was like playing on those teams at the University of Rhode Island? And just describe that opportunity, the ability to succeed individually and also as a team.
Yeah, I think the ability to play with guys that I created lifelong relationships with. So most of the players that I played with, we still stay in contact till today. It was lifelong bonds, great relationships. And, we were fortunate enough to play in 4 postseasons and to have a great chemistry on the court. Those memories have lasted a lifetime and will continue to last. I think that when you're having great team success, the individual accolades can come or not come. And I was fortunate enough to have have a great 4-year career there. So the team success is what you remember the most. Some of those stats you just threw at me, I didn't even remember that. But I do remember playing in those 4 postseasons, the great relationships and the bonds that we formed.
So I have to ask, out of all those teammates, you said that you guys are still in touch. Were there any that you were the closest with, or that you're still close with to this day?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Tyson Willer, Antonio Reynolds, Dean, Luther Clay, Lamar Odom, Tavares Bell. I have a great relationship with all my former teammates. Some I speak with more frequently than others, but it's we have a great bond.
That's great. Would you say you had like a mentor at the time that kind of helped you with your motivation and your game, and just helped you focus on the game of basketball that helped you achieve what you achieved?
Yeah, I think I had a lot of mentors growing up, guys that kind of guided me and helped show me how to play the game, gave me some skill and taught me the sport. I think that for basketball to make it to like the Division I level, it has to be a really great internal drive. Unless you have some supreme talent, right? Unless you're like 7 feet with like with unbelievable jump shot or some phenomenal gift, which I didn't have. 6 foot 6'1" guard, so I wasn't possessed with like some super unique talent. And I think that the drive that comes from within is what helped me get to the point that those goals that I achieved.
That's great. So if you could pick like one memory, we talked about all of the team accolades aside from just the individual accolades, but one memory from that team or just your time at the University of Rhode Island, or story or anything that you could share, what would that be if you had to choose, one or two?
Yeah, if I had to choose one, I'll never forget. We're getting ready to play Kansas in the Sweet 16 game, and Kansas was the heavy favorite. They're the number 1 seed, in the tournament. And before the game, we were so calm in the locker room because we knew we were going to win. We had such great faith and confidence. We weren't talking about the game of basketball. We were talking about like lions and tigers. We were talking about like some Discovery Channel stuff. And it's ironic because we did all our work kind of ahead of time, so we were really prepared and we had such a calm going into that game. And so like that's a great memory prior to us playing that game and going on winning and beating Kansas.
That's great. Do you remember anything specifically about that game that just helped you guys succeed, or was it just you guys were just a better team on the court that night?
I think we were very prepared. We had some really good upperclassmen on our team. Like Katino Mobley was the ATM Player of the Year that year. Tyson Willer had a phenomenal career. Antonio Reynolds Dean, another 1,000-point scorer, and we were upperclassmen. So Tyson and Katino were seniors, and Antonio and myself were juniors. And I think that we went through so many battles as a unit that we were in great positions to win the game.
That's amazing because it reminds me of a couple of years back. The program's going through a little bit of a rebuild right now, but in 2018-19 or 2018-2017 at URI, we had just such great depth on that team from the starters to the bench. It reminds me a lot when you talk about some of these players that you played with, the depth that you guys had, which led to the 4 postseasons and the success that you guys had.
Right. Yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely.
So you've gotten into coaching after playing professionally overseas, but you worked at the high school level, you worked at the collegiate level, and now you're training young athletes and young players through the program. So what was that like, or what has it been like to coach? And did you always know you wanted to be a coach? What kind of made you realize you wanted to get into that?
It was kind of like a natural progression. I didn't know when I was playing that I wanted to be a coach, because I believe every player, when you're playing, you think those days are never going to come to an end. But so at the time when I was playing in college, I didn't know that. I enjoy the game. I love it. Coaching is as close as you can get to playing, and it's a very gratifying feeling to give back to the sport that has done so much for me in my life.
Do you have a coach that you had personally, or that you've studied that you model your coaching after, or anything like that?
Yeah, I think some of the coaches I've had, Al Skinner, Jim Herrick, they're part of what I do. I think I learned a lot from them. And then some of the coaches I work for, like Dan Hurley and Greg McDermott and Jim Christian, all of those guys, I take bits and pieces of and kind of form what my identity is along with my personality.
That's great. So I asked you your favorite memory from playing at URI, but if you had a favorite memory from coaching, just anything, collegiate level, high school level, or through this program, what would your favorite memory be? Because it's so great. I've talked to a lot of coaches as well, and just, getting the opportunity to kind of, show the next generation what you did and really teach and educate. It's really a great feeling, and I'm sure, you really enjoy coaching. But if you had a memory where you really connected with one player or it was just a great moment while coaching, what would you say that would be?
And that's a tough one. I don't know if I can pinpoint an exact moment. What's great is when you see the fruits of some of the kids that you work with, their labor, right? So if you're working with the kid on a specific skill set or hurdle that he has to get over, and you see that actually happening, that's a great feeling. So I don't have a specific one that stands out more than the other, but just when that happens, it's a very gratifying, satisfying feeling.
That's great. I think a lot of players don't, realize necessarily that they want to go into it, but a lot of people just want to stay within the game of basketball or within their sport. And coaching is really a great opportunity for them to do that. And again, teach and educate young players. So that's a great opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So the last question I actually have for you is, if you could give any advice to young athletes, whether that be basketball players or just any sport, they're looking to play collegiate, professional level, or anything like that, what advice would you give?
I think the best advice that I can give, and not to sound too cliche, is like no one can tell your story for you, right? So like if you have a hope, you have a belief in yourself and your drive, you decide whether you make it or don't make it. You can't allow someone else to dictate your path. So like sometimes it happens earlier for guys in their careers. Sometimes it happens later. The thing is you never give up and keep follow through on your hopes and your dreams.
That's great. I appreciate it again. That's all the questions I have for you. But I appreciate you taking the time, just a couple minutes, to talk to me, and it was great meeting you and talking to you.
Well, thanks for having me on the show. I appreciate it, and we'll be in touch.
Yep, sounds good. Thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah. Yeah. New coupe, take off, cause I know these niggas ain't gon' hand that. New suit, yeah, big boss. I'm knowing I ain't hearing not a young nigga saying double back twice in a row, 3-3, bitches pains all in my home. First G, tell it out when I make a song. Let my brother day, he ain't make it home. She be